God damn it. Hello, Jeremy.
God damn it. Hello.
God damn it. Hello.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. And everything in between and outside.
I wonder if Hanukkah is over yet or if it is still going on. Well,
It'll be over.
It'll be over because there's a
over.
whole episode between when we're recording this and when it goes up. So it's just Christmas now, but how was your Hanukkah?
Hanukkah is good. I didn't really do much interesting this year.
All right, good stuff. I'm glad that you came.
We
prepared for the
haven't opened.
podcast.
I didn't. Well, we light the candles every night, and that's about it. Haven't opened any presents yet.
Wow.
I thought you were supposed to get one every day.
So my sister doesn't live with us anymore, but she's going to be home one day. So we're just going to do everything that day so that we could do it as a family.
Fair enough.
As you know, Jeremy, we grew up in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. And that was always one of the things when in elementary school, and I would be like, oh, I celebrate Christmas. And then everybody who celebrated Hanukkah was like, oh, but Hanukkah's so much better because you get 7 gifts instead of 1. And I said, well, I've never gotten just 1 gift for Christmas. I know more than one person. And so now you telling me that you've gotten no gifts.
Well, I'm going to get the gifts. I just haven't yet.
Please let me have this.
Okay. Also, I'm an adult. That's the bigger thing, is I'm an adult, so I don't need gifts.
This is
honestly,
all adults need gifts.
As
sometimes.
I get older, the less I want gifts.
Oh, getting Christmas gifts.
I just don't want anything.
To be clear, Christmas for Brittany and I is going to 4 different locations typically.
Yes.
And the more times we do that, the less times I want gifts from most people because I have nowhere. This is going to sound really fucked up. I got nowhere to put this stuff.
We
Please
really
stop buying me
don't.
Things.
Honestly, I think in years past, because this will now be Oliver and mine's fourth Christmas dating, and I would say this is probably the 3rd year that we get. I just know, maybe it'll be different this year because we have our own place, but we usually get gifts and we drive around with the gifts in our car for months, literally. And I'm just going to say that because usually the people that give me gifts don't listen to our podcast.
And
so.
I'll throw out there, it's nice to see a friend or a close family member and exchange a gift. I like to give gifts, and who doesn't like to get gifts? What's not as nice is the obligation, first of all, to buy everybody that you've ever met a gift. That's a lot of pressure. And as an adult and as somebody who pays their own bills, it just gets worse and worse.
Yep.
And more people expect gifts every year too. It's terrible.
And if you buy somebody, let's say $15 worth of gifts last year, they expect at least that, normally more, the following year. So it just gets increasingly more expensive and harder to pick things out for. And the thing is, the people that you're buying gifts for, you usually know pretty well. And then the problem with that is that you know whether or not that person needs that gift or wants that gift. And if you're anything like me and Oliver, then you second guess every gift purchase that you've made.
I somewhat reject this premise that I always know what gifts people want. I definitely don't.
I just mean you more know what they won't want. If I came to you and said, "Oh, let's buy your mom a bottle of champagne," you'd be like, "No, she doesn't want
generally,
that."
I feel like my mom doesn't want anything for Christmas, which is frustrating because my mom's one of the only people that I would want to buy a gift for. But you know what's even more frustrating than having to buy a gift for everybody you've ever met? Because ultimately, I suppose that's what Christmas is about, is taking care of the people in your life. But what is frustrating is when people buy me things and I just, why'd you do that? And this sounds really like Scroogey. And I recognize it could also sound spoiled, but I really would prefer that a lot of my family save their money.
Yep.
And not feel obligated to buy me a wallet or,
The older I get, the more Scroogey I sound. I really I feel that I am going to be visited by a few ghosts in my near future because I just do not have any real joy.
It's a reference to the Christmas Carol, Jeremy.
I'm familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's referenced in so much media. Yeah. He doesn't need to have seen it. But
I read the Christmas Carol in school.
And I feel like I don't really enjoy much about the Christmas season anymore. I don't enjoy gift giving. I don't enjoy the craziness that comes along with it. Honestly, ideally, Oliver and I would spend the day together at home in our pajamas, having cocoa, watching, Home Alone
Coco.
and what? Watching Coco.
Coco's
Coco.
a Halloween
Yeah,
movie.
it's not
No.
really a
Jumbles.
holiday.
Watching
Well, it's
Home
not really a
Alone
Halloween
and
movie.
Four Christmases, or we'd be in Disney. Those would be my dream scenarios.
Can't do that this year though. And let me tell you, here's the thing. I love Christmas. I always have loved Christmas, but it's getting harder and harder to like Christmas as time goes on because I feel like every year I'm more and more stressed at this time of year. But one of the only things that I really like doing at Christmas still is making good Christmas content, Jeremy. I like making.
We haven't done that in
stuff.
a really long time.
No, we haven't. You know why? Because I'm so stressed out. Actually, last time we did that, I wound up trying to edit. We shot the whole thing, and I got all the footage from everybody that I needed for the Christmas Spectacular. That would have been 2016 or 17.
I have no idea.
You haven't made one since we started dating, so
Right, the
2016.
last one was right before. So 2016, we shot the whole thing. We stayed up all night to do it, and then Christmas Day rolled around and it still wasn't done. And I tried to edit it, but it just, what a disaster. And so that footage is just sitting somewhere, and I'm sure not everybody's signed on to release it. So even if I wanted to edit it, I couldn't, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, if you had the free time, I would say do it, and then we could just enjoy it privately.
Yeah, but you see, if I'm going to put time into something, I want something that everybody can enjoy, and that I can show people and say, hey, look, I did this thing.
All right.
If I can't post it on Facebook and Instagram, did I even do it, Jeremy?
Yes.
That's how it is. Nope.
I do a lot of things that I don't post on Instagram because I don't post things on Instagram that often.
But the reason I bring up Christmas content is not because we made some, but because
we didn't.
The podcast was gonna have a Christmas episode, Jeremy.
Sucks.
But honestly, this is probably it. This is probably the Christmas episode. I got a Christmas tree next to me. We're going to talk about some Christmas movies. We were going to do an additional one, but I could only find one Christmas beer, and it was this one, this Celebration IPA. And that's it. So there's your show.
I was trying to read it, and you turned it at the exact moment I moved to read it.
Don't want you to read it.
It's fine, I guess.
But yeah, we were going to do another one after this one, but I don't think we're going to have time to do that between now and Christmas. So if
unless we do a big record tonight.
Nah.
Nah.
If we do, it'll be a nice surprise. But in the meantime, we got another book club, 2 book clubs in a row.
3 book clubs in a row.
Are we
kind of.
recommending a book club tonight?
Yes, of course.
Why wouldn't we? For
Okay.
next book club episode.
It
Doesn't have to be holiday though, right?
No.
No, there's no holiday coming up. The next one will be Valentine's Day.
It seems like I'm the only one who came prepared because we got here and
No,
Jeremy.
I'm ready.
Jeremy said to
I was
me,
trying.
I don't know what to fucking recommend. And I said, well, I got one.
I have one also.
So we're ready. We're good. The movies this week, though, Jeremy, I'm calling on you. I'm the teacher. Tell the class what we're talking about.
So the movies we recommended for each other to watch, as well as anybody watching who wants to join in or listening. Oliver recommended Jingle All the Way. Jeremy recommended Klaus, and Brittany recommended a movie that shares the same title as like 3 other movies.
Yeah, Jeremy, why don't you tell us about that?
Tell us a little bit about that because we'll talk about that movie first. That movie is called
Jack Frost.
Jack Frost. And
Yeah.
Specifically, she recommended.
We won't make Brittany wait till the last one this time because we had to split hers into a whole second part in the last episode. So
Yeah, I was editing it. We talked for 12 minutes about I Lost My Body and about Rush each. And then we talked for an hour and 20 minutes about Twilight.
So we talked for almost the entire length of one part.
Oh, no, it got its own episode.
It got its own
No,
episode.
I mean like the
Yeah.
entire length of the movie.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, it was 2 movies. and it was the end of the series.
I know. I just think that it's funny.
Now,
and
so
you both loved it so much. So we had so much to say. If you want to hear what
we had to say about that, you can go listen to the previous episode. Unless you guys want to talk about Twilight for an hour.
No,
so I'll talk about Twilight whenever.
Well, but don't you want to talk about?
No,
we don't even know what the movie is that Brittany recommended.
I said it was Jack Frost. I said it was Jack Frost.
Jeremy did not say it was Jack Frost. Jeremy said it shares the same title as 3 other movies.
Excuse me, I did say it was Jack Frost.
You're not excused.
You just didn't listen to me.
One day you're gonna leap across this table and you're gonna fucking explode.
Oh, if I didn't do it last time, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, last time when we fucking rode home in silence. All right, it's behind us now, Jeremy. Jack Frost.
Specifically, she recommended the Michael Keaton.
Yes, the Michael Keaton Jack Frost.
But Jeremy, why don't you tell us?
So I didn't remember which Jack Frost you recommended, so I looked up Jack Frost, the movie, and I got like 4 different movies. I got 3 different movies, and 2 of them had snowmen in it that I thought looked kind of creepy, and I was like, well, that's not your thing, so it must be this other one. So I watched a different movie.
I will give you, if you're not watching it in the lens that Michael Keaton is the snowman, because the snowman's face is supposed to look like Michael Keaton.
It's fucking wild.
If you're not looking, well, it's got his slim eyebrows and his weird mouth. Michael Keaton's a weird looking dude. I don't know what to tell you. But if you're not watching it in that lens, then yeah, I could see why the snowman would look creepy in Jack Frost to you. And Jeremy didn't even know that he watched a different movie till I called him and said, "Hey, when do you want to record?"
A random conversation. I watched the one from '79, that old like stop motion movie.
The stop motion.
Jeremy,
Come watch my stop motion
at
video.
any point in this thing, did you think to yourself, I don't think Brittany would have recommended this?
I don't know. Well, so I guess we're just reviewing this one first because
yes, I literally said that.
I had things to say. No, we're reviewing the other Jack Frost because I came up with things to say.
Go on. What do you have to say about the other? I've never heard of this movie, so
well, if you look at it, you'll know.
You'd know. You would know. I would pull it up.
Weirdly enough, because I just pulled up a picture, the snowman in this Jack Frost does look like the snowman Michael Keaton in the movie Jack Frost.
So it's Jack Frost
1979. Like that one old Rudolph one?
Yeah.
It's literally like the Baskin whatever.
Yeah, Rankin Bass.
Yeah,
yeah, it's one of those. Because where I was coming from is I was watching it and I was like, this isn't doing a lot for me, but I can see how if you had watched it as a young child, it would be something really nostalgic for you, and you would think it's quite good, enough to recommend to a friend to watch.
Well, the first flaw in your thought process is those Rankin Bass movies are very famous, but I don't think anybody's ever sat down with someone who hasn't seen them and been like, you know what you absolutely fucking have to watch? Fucking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
It's like one of those movies that I feel like you can't admit to somebody that you've never seen it, because then they'll try to tell you to watch it, and then like you'll just sit there and be like, I don't need to have watched this movie.
Are we talking about this Jack Frost?
Yes.
Isn't that what happened to me?
Pretty much.
Wait, we're talking about the fake Rankin Bass Jack Frost, or maybe it is Rankin Bass. I don't know.
I got no idea.
Because I'll say I've never seen this.
It's a Rankin Bass.
I've never seen this Jack Frost. I'm still not seeing it because I've been trying to pull it up this whole time, and I'm just getting commercials.
Why are you on Daily Motion?
Because I Googled it. That was the first thing to come up. You guys talk really fast. I'm trying to get some clips together.
Just pull up like an image to see what it looks like.
Why
are you pulling up the whole movie? It's on Tubi. Go to Tubi. It's on Tubi. That's how I watched it.
I don't need the whole movie. I need the trailer.
Then why are you pulling up the fucking movie on Daily Motion?
Just pull up a picture.
All right, so this is the Jack Frost that Jeremy was talking about.
Yeah. He looks like that.
Yeah.
It's a nice little story. It's about Father Christmas or winter. I don't fucking remember.
Is that's not the I'm Mr.
No, that's the year without Santa Claus.
He's like the spirit of cold or something, and then he's like, I want to be a human for a bit, and then he becomes a human, and he ends up falling in love with this girl. But there's
Lisa.
also oh my god, I can't remember his name. Oh no, what's the character's name of this movie that I didn't care about? It doesn't matter.
You could just
There's like a bad
describe
guy.
him. Is he a blue guy?
There's
Is
like
he
a bad guy. No, he's like a person, and he. Let's talk about the movie Brittany wanted to talk about.
Great.
Can I say real quick, when Jeremy told me that
Kubla Kraus.
When Jeremy told me that he watched the wrong movie, I really was worried that he watched the Santa Claus 3 over anything else, because that was the only other Jack Frost movie that I could think of.
No, there are like 4 that I was able to find. And I was like, I could probably text Brittany and ask which one, but I think I figured it out. And I didn't. I did a bad. I'll just text you next time there's more than one.
To add to the confusion, I also we watched it the night that we had that conversation. We watched it, and I remember saying to you, I don't know what Jack Frost is. I think it's connected to Leprechaun somehow. And I will go on record and say it's definitely not connected to Leprechaun.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
This is actually a very endearing movie. So, like, I don't know what the hell the two of you are concocting. What narrative you're concocting over there.
I've not discussed the movie yet. I've discussed a different movie.
Fine.
True. We were just confused.
I'm willing to move on to the movie, though.
Yeah, let's try that.
I would
Brittany,
like to.
you
Brittany,
start.
pitch us the movie.
Okay, so I feel like Jack Frost, what is that, 2000 version?
1998.
1998. Oh, the year you guys were born. Wonderful.
I know.
So I feel like Jack Frost, the 98 version with Michael Keaton, is one of those kind of slept on holiday movies. And to me, it's a good one because unlike a Jingle All the Way, or unlike, I'll Be Home for Christmas, or Home Alone, or okay, I'll leave Home Alone out of this. Like an I'll Be Home for Christmas, or any of these other like quintessential late 90s, early 2000s movies, it actually like centers on real things like loss and grief and dealing with those things, but in a whimsically kind of Christmassy way in which Michael Keaton's a snowman.
Right.
Right.
Real things like when your father dies and becomes a snowman.
Yes.
First sidebar, that snowman's face looks like Michael Keaton's face. You can't tell me it
does.
doesn't.
That's the point.
I didn't even register that it was supposed to look like him until you said it.
Yes,
well,
that is the point, that it's supposed to look like them. I'm sure it's.
I just thought it looked like a snowman.
I'm sure it's in his contract that the snowman has to look like him.
I'm sure it is. Anyways, go on.
Anyway, also the movie has a fire soundtrack, which I'll go off and say, especially because I guess Michael Keaton's supposed to be some sort of musician in this, so they definitely threw some interesting music in there with it. And I don't know, it was always one of those movies that like I felt like I had to tell people about, like kind of like this, like where like it wasn't as commonplace for people to have seen it, but like it was so common for me to watch it, and I hadn't watched it in years, so I really wanted to watch it this Christmas, and that's why I recommended it for you guys, and I enjoyed it. It's sad, but good.
I'll say this was not at all what I was expecting. I've been just vaguely aware of Jack Frost with it floating around in the meme nebulous, which I guess is kind of why I thought it was connected to Leprechaun, because the images it look like they're done in the same style if you just look at the snowman and then look at Leprechaun.
It's a really weird thing to say.
That is
don't
a
think
very
it's that.
strange thing
I'm
to
gonna
say.
fucking find Leprechaun. Let's see if he's here.
No, I'm looking at it.
Let's just talk about the movie.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about Leprechaun.
Yeah.
It's not the movie we're talking about.
You don't need to take it to that place.
Yeah, I like this movie. I like, in a lot of the trappings of it are things that I wouldn't say I would generally dislike, but definitely things that I wouldn't go out of my way to watch. Just something that I probably would have missed out on, and hence why I guess I missed out on it. But I like Michael Keaton. I have a soft spot for him, I suppose. And look at this snowman. Look how handsome he is. There is some ridiculous CGI in this movie. The snowman does a cool snowboard trick and then yells some catchphrases. So it's, you can tell that the early 2000s are coming. But Yeah, I expected this movie to be much worse than it was. And not because of anything you said, but because I've only heard about this movie as a joke, like as a meme with the snowman in it. So I always assumed that it was a joke, and then you recommended it. And no, it's a sincere, legit movie, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. And I have to say, it's probably one of the better movies that we watched. Jumbles, what do you think about this handsome man?
About the handsome man specifically, I think this snowman looks nothing like Michael Keaton. I have no idea. It didn't register with me at all that it was supposed to, and I'm looking at it, and it just looks like a snowman with eyebrows.
Well, but it has small eyebrows like Michael Keaton. Do you not see it?
I don't see it at all. It has bigger eyebrows than most snowmen do. I don't know, guys.
I don't know either, Jeremy, but
Most
definitely
snowmen don't
can
have
see...
eyebrows.
That's what I'm saying. It has bigger eyebrows than most snowmen, which is nothing.
All right. Look at this image of Michael Keaton.
I'm looking at an image of Michael Keaton.
Oh, no, you're not.
Okay, well, we could have just pretended. I know what Michael Keaton looks like.
Why are there so many credited stock photos of Michael Keaton? What the fuck? Why are they all claimed?
on the journey for a photo of Michael Keaton.
That's all I want. I want a general access public domain image of Michael Keaton. It shouldn't be that hard. Here's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
the
the
teeth
man.
don't help, and he's
Look
much...
at the eyebrows.
Hey, this is actually a really weird looking picture of Michael
It is.
Keaton.
This is. I couldn't
he's-
find the
and
good
he's
ones.
much older in this photo than he was when he did this movie.
But you can see the facial structure of him. He has his eyebrows. He's got little eyes, and he's got a big mouth.
Okay.
That's what Michael Keaton looks like. If I close my eyes and describe just that, I could be describing this image of Michael Keaton. Or...
How well do you know Michael Keaton?
Apparently
We're not friends.
Well.
We're
I don't know him that well.
Yeah.
Can't even find a fucking
Or I
picture of him.
could be describing... I could have been describing that image of Michael Keaton, or I could be describing this image of this snowman who has slender eyebrows, a big mouth, and little eyes.
No.
You see what I'm talking about? The snowman
I-
fucking looks like Michael
I
Keaton.
do think
Does
that they
not.
probably face grabbed him and used the likeness to make the snowman face.
It's just it's a round head with black coal
Well,
eyes.
how would you
It's
make a
nothing.
snowman look like Michael Keaton?
I wouldn't because
Oh
I
my
don't-
god, can we move on from this?
I was ready to give it the one, and then Oliver's been sticking on the pulling up photos thing. So this is the conversation now, okay? It looks nothing like him. It looks like a generic snowman. Michael Keaton looks like a real human being.
You know what? First of all, I don't think Michael Keaton looks like a real human being.
I
think
mean, that's
Michael
because you picked up
Keaton-
a bad picture.
Michael Keaton is a very unique looking person that looks like no person.
Michael
that I
Keaton
know.
is a unique animal that none of us can seem to
This
understand.
is true. How well do you know Michael Keaton? Not very fucking well, I guess.
Anyway,
The point is, the snowman fucking looks like Michael Keaton.
Jeremy
and I
literally
think
has
we
me.
need- I think we need to give the movie props for that. That's all I'm saying.
It's wonderful.
I
Jeremy has
disagree.
literally made one point. Jeremy, I would love to hear the rest of what you have to say.
I think that this movie takes a bit. I think that you turn on this movie, there's a sequence where Michael Keaton is playing music in a bar or something, and then he comes home and his family loves him. And I'm like, okay, I still don't know what the plot's gonna be. Because
Did you loop that much?
I didn't actually know this movie at all, so I didn't know that he turns into the snowman. I was actually relatively surprised when he died because I thoroughly did not know what this movie was about. I just didn't expect it to go there.
I love that.
Can
this
I
movie
ask
was
what
a
you
shocker,
expected to happen?
I thought
The
they were gonna.
snowman
I
was
thought the
gonna
snowman was gonna
terrorize
come. No, I thought the snowman was just gonna be like a Frosty the Snowman situation, and they were gonna get into silly antics with Michael Keaton, who's a
Oh.
musician.
That
Yeah, I
would have
don't
been
know.
cool. I would have watched that.
That's what I was expecting, and then, but he comes home, and I'm waiting for like the family conflict to drop, and I think that takes a really long time, because they're all like happy, and it takes a really long time for Michael Keaton to get to what is essentially the same family conflict in Jingle All the Way, which we didn't talk about yet, and they get to much quicker.
It is, yeah.
And I watched Jingle All the Way first, which you know because I watched originally the wrong movie. So immediately to compare, Jingle All the Way gets right into the fact that he's an absent father immediately. and Jingle All the Way is like, because he's like on tour with his band, but everyone is like happy.
Well,
you know?
I almost prefer, we'll get into Jingle All the Way in a minute.
Yeah, I didn't really.
But it's a good point, because I almost prefer the way this movie does it to Jingle All the Way, if only because Jingle All the Way, like, it grabs a shovel and hits you over the head with the fact that, look, Arnold Schwarzenegger's an absentee father. But in real life, if you have an absentee father, most of the time you don't sit around going, gee, I hate my dad. It's much more like this, I would
and also
think.
the difference, yeah, exactly, because
because you want your dad to be your guy.
So I'm gonna come at this from a standpoint where I bring my personal life into it, but my parents got divorced at a very young age, so I literally had an absentee father for like the early part of my childhood. My dad and I are great now. I love him to death. He went through some shit. It is what it is. But from my standpoint, Jack Frost is a much more realistic depiction of what it's like when you have an absentee father than Jingle All the Way is. Like, my dad would take us to Disney. My dad would buy us what we wanted to. It didn't matter because spending time with him was what we wanted. He would
do the fun things with you and then wasn't around
right.
otherwise.
So, like, to me, Jingle All the Way was a quick fix. Oh, he went through all this trouble to get me this gift. He must love me. Whereas Jack Frost was, I love my dad and I'm happy when he's around. And for the wife, it's I love my husband and I'm happy when he's around. I just wish that he prioritized us over his career,
Sure.
And that's kind of like the point of the movie.
And
he realizes when he dies, unfortunately, and then it's too late. And which is why it's kind of nice that like they get to have this sort of bereavement and closure, because a lot of people don't get that. Obviously, their relatives don't come back.
Nobody gets
as animated
snowmen
or otherwise
that look just like their dad, incidentally.
Right. But I think just from personal experience that Jack Frost handles that issue much better, obviously, than.
And I'll say that's why I was so big on the movie, was that for a silly little children's movie to realistically say, no, this is what it's like to not have your dad around, is that, like, you wouldn't even know on surface value, like, that was the case.
Right.
And I appreciated that.
I was more trying to get at the idea that it takes the movie a very long time to tell you that this is what the plot is about.
That's true too.
Because you don't need like okay, sure, yes, the kid doesn't need to be moping around within the first 5 seconds of the movie going, I wish my dad would spend time with me, but it takes I think it was like 20 minutes in before it even gets this thing of like, oh, so he's never around. And I'm like, oh, so that's the family conflict of this movie. I was legitimately, like, when he was, I'm trying to remember what was happening, but I think when he gave him the harmonica at the beginning of the movie, I was like, there's clearly going to be a family conflict here. And it's obviously going to be that he's not around because of his band, but the movie isn't telling me that, and I don't know. That was what I was getting at. More of that, not that it's an unrealistic depiction. It's that every sign in the movie is telling me that this is okay. Everybody's happy with this situation,
And I'll say, and I was going to bring this up for Jingle All the Way, but I would say that you actually hit it on the head, that this deals with that for me better. One of my biggest pet peeves in most movies, like family movies, is when they have the theme of, oh, dad works way too much and he doesn't spend time with the family. It's like, but in real life, fucking work is a fact of life. And generally, that's how people live.
I think it's funny because I feel like most of the Christmas movies we've watched recently, that has been like the
central theme.
The central theme. Jingle All the Way, Jack Frost, what's it called? The Santa Claus, exactly. Even you can even say Die Hard has, like, it's not about the kid, but it's the same.
Die Hard is 100% about that. That's why
I'm
he
just
loses
saying
his family.
It's the same thing, and we've watched and Christmas Vacation is about that too. Yeah. And it's like we watched all these movies within the last week and a half.
I'll throw out. That's like, I love Christmas movies, but that's something that generally pisses me off about them, is that it's not a choice to fucking work. But I would say Jack Frost does it probably the best out of any of those that we named. other than Die Hard, because Die Hard is a whole other animal.
And other than Santa Claus, because he actually does turn it around by the end and he doesn't have to die or buy a toy to do so.
Sure. But my issue is being in a band.
He just has to become Santa Claus. Sorry, go ahead.
Being in a band is still to a degree a choice, and the lifestyle that comes with it is a choice. So I can at least get behind like, hey, maybe that's not the best if you have kids. Versus an office job, which is like the responsible thing to do.
But like the problem that bothers me, and I get where you're coming from, but just to play devil's advocate here is at one point in time in Jack Frost, the wife does say to him, like, I knew what I was getting myself into when I married you, even though she gets pissed off at him anyway. But like, she's basically saying, your son didn't ask for this. But at the same time, then I feel like it should have been like, okay, well, maybe we should have like thought about that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
When we had a kid or when we were discussing having a kid, or maybe this is something that needs to be better talked about in our family unit.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a
know?
legit issue that somebody
Yeah.
could have over, gee, Dad, I wish you didn't work at your office. You know, there are solutions and discussions that could be had about this that aren't, well, I got to be at work.
Right, because like if that's the central conflict of the movie, then you can say that your family dealt with an absentee father, Oliver, because your dad worked crazy hours and wasn't around for a lot of the holidays and stuff like that in his profession.
Right, and my mother never said to him, gee, John, I wish you would stop fucking being a firefighter. God
I wish you would just let those buildings burn.
God.
And let those people just fucking crisp up in there.
Oh, rescue me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they had to rescue me. But anyway, I'll just say I appreciated that about Jack Frost, and I know I cut you off again, but I didn't want to,
I don't remember what I was saying anymore.
Gee, I fucked up. Huh?
It was partially my fault too. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I think I was at the end of the thought anyway. Past that, I think the movie once it decides that it wants to be about that, I think it does a fairly decent job. Because and I think the conflict he has about like this like thing is a really good opportunity for us, but like I want to be with my kid. I think it does I think it works really well.
Yeah.
And honestly, like that's the saddest part is that he decides before they even get to the gig that he doesn't want to do it because he wants to be with his kid and dies on the way home. Whereas if he had just gone to the gig, he probably wouldn't have died.
And like I said, I did not know he was going to die. Fully like surprised me. I don't even think I registered that that's what happened for a bit because it doesn't show him die.
No.
It just like there's bad snow and then it kind of like fades and then it just shows his family for a bit, and I didn't know that that's exactly what happened. Which I that's not a criticism. I'm struggling to come up with stuff to say, and I don't know why.
Well, I'll throw in. I think that's the part of the movie that works. And if you can bring it's similar to the Santa Claus, where like I don't really care for late 90s, early 2000s tropes. I don't really care for trying CG before it was really worked out. Things that just I just personally don't like. Are all present here as they are in the Santa Claus, but I think you had a strong enough base where I can generally speaking accept that, and there are certain things like the sled chase scene that was fucking ridiculous, but overall real sweet movie and I liked it.
Yeah, I mean obviously it was my suggestion and I'm only going to suggest movies that Sorry, did I cut you off, Jeremy?
No, I just remembered another thing that happened, and there was a snowball fight in the beginning too. So
yes.
That's another thing that adds in. That's like it's taking a long time for me to.
Yeah,
learn
the
what
snowball
the
fight scene is actually pretty long. I remember kind of checking out like in the beginning, and I was like,
yeah, well, but
right.
that's another thing I'm trying to say is like we get through the concert that they're doing, and then the snowball fight scene, and then this really like very nice, happy scene of this family like reuniting again and having a good time together. And I'm like, so what's this movie about?
The reason I suggested this movie, like I was saying before, is I'm not going to ever suggest something that I didn't like unless there's like a reason for us suggesting those kinds of movies. But I like this movie because I feel like, again, like I said before, it deals with like real issues, things that people go through. And, you know, maybe somebody who does have absentee father issues can watch a movie like this and, you know, have some sort of connection to it and feel something about it, and not just have it be like, oh, if my daddy buys me the most popular toy that year, that means he really loves me. You know, like it's not about materialistic things. It's about just appreciating, you know, what you have when you have it and all that good stuff. All those, you know, fun Christmas morals.
Yeah, I'm big on that. I liked it.
Because I do feel that the message, and this would probably be a good segue, I do feel that the message of Jingle All the Way is a little lost because it does
we'll get to that.
It does kind of just promote consumerism and, you know.
I actually think it's well, we'll get there in a minute. Let's I was going to segue into Klaus, but we'll talk about Jingle All the Way first.
I think
Jingle All the Way is like kind of the natural next point.
So
we kind of
I recommended a movie that I have not seen in years and have joked about with people for a long time, and remember Jamie, it's me, your father, Turbo Man.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a movie that every year people talk about, I feel like, and do impressions of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I always generally remembered it to be pretty good. And then we watched it. And, you know, the first thing I have to say about Jingle All the Way is it's not a good movie.
That is how I knew that you hadn't watched it in a while, because you were pushing so hard to watch it. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I'm like, I don't want to watch this movie. And you like almost couldn't understand why I didn't want to watch it.
But here's the thing is, I just said it wasn't a good movie. I didn't say I didn't like it. This is fucking great. The acting in this movie only gets a pass because Arnold Schwarzenegger is so famous. Otherwise,
I don't even think it gets a pass.
Wait. I didn't say by me. I said, generally speaking, with the general consciousness of this movie, people remember it for being better acted and better done than it is because Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the movie. Even though he is the worst. No, the kid is the worst actor in the movie, but Arnold is not very good either. Although I don't think Arnold ever was a good actor.
You know, I mean, you could excuse a kid actor because they're a kid, you know. Arnold sucks. In this movie, he's so fucking bad.
Arnold is bad, but Arnold is just being Arnold Schwarzenegger. The wife is fucking awful. The neighbor is even worse. The only good actor in this goddamn movie is Sinbad. And that's it. And Sinbad isn't good because he's good.
I don't think anybody has uttered those words before.
Sinbad is good?
Yeah.
Sinbad isn't good because he's good. Sinbad is good because he's being Sinbad. And they just give him time to like do Sinbad monologues and tell Sinbad jokes. But you know, I think the movie has a weird charm to it in a bad sort of way. I think I like that all the actors are bad, and I do actually like the story until the third act. It's just told in the most bizarre fashion that you could ever imagine. I'll say the highlight of the movie for me is the two kids getting out at the parade, and we were talking about this. There's a Christmas parade in their town, and there are two kids from the neighborhood that like get out to like watch it, one of them being Schwarzenegger's kid and the other one being the neighbor kid, and they're like looking at all the characters going by. They're going like, wow, Spider-Man, Minnie Mouse, and then the Cat in the Hat goes by, and they look at each other, they go, Cat in the Hat, and then they high five. And I don't know any kids that would high five over the Cat in the Hat over the rest of it, but I love it. That being said, there is no Christmas movie like Jingle All the Way. Jingle All the Way is a strange fever dream, and I'm glad that we watched it, even though it's very bad.
Fun fact about that Christmas parade, there's a point where a Paddington walks onto the screen, and I sat up.
Yes, I said the same thing. I said Paddington.
And I said Paddington, high five.
I sat up in my seat and went Paddington, and then rewound the movie so I could look at Paddington again, and that was the highlight. That was the highlight of the movie.
All right, so I retract my statement that maybe those kids would have been excited over the Cat in the Hat. I don't know.
That was like the highlight of the movie was the Paddington cameo, because I agree this movie's not great. I think I expected to engage with this movie on a higher level that it is willing to give you, because I think I kind of did the same thing. I didn't realize this when I was talking about with Jack Frost, that I was sitting there going like trying to figure out what the plot was. I think I did a similar thing with Jingle All the Way because the entire time I'm waiting for the actual like the turn in this movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger's character goes like, the material possessions are not important.
But that never happens.
It's the experience of doing things with my child that is actually important, and the real thing that I have to do today is not get this toy, it's go to this parade with my kid. And that doesn't happen. He doesn't go to the parade with his kid.
The only reason he ends up at the parade with his kid is because he was still looking for the doll, and because he ended up on the float.
I'll say I think the movie is trying to have a very cynical message about Christmas, but it's so muddled that it doesn't have any message at all. There are things that are legitimately funny in this movie.
I really, really enjoy the Santa Claus factory.
Yes,
very
that was
good,
great.
Very good locale. That was good. I like that a lot.
There's a lot of things like that to me in this movie. Like, I like the Santa Claus factory. I like when he gets in the parade, not when he's on the parade float, but when they're dressing him up for the parade float and the guy goes, oh, what's his name woke up today, or he's breathing, and that's a good sign. And you think, like, why the fuck would you get injured on a parade float? And then the fucking movie happens. I like when he's running from the diner to the radio station with the names of the reindeer.
Every time I think of the names of the reindeer, that scene runs through my head when he's running down the street going, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, Dasher, Dancer, and that's just how I hear it in my head. And that's how I will always hear it in my head.
Of course. And, there are these things that are fun, and obviously it's a guilty pleasure for me because I have to look really far to ignore a lot of the things in the movie. You can really tell that they wanted to have a Charlie from the Santa Claus in the kid, but the kid just wasn't a good actor. You can look at the movie and just see like, all right, you tried something. It didn't work. I don't know why Schwarzenegger had to punch the reindeer. I don't know why Schwarzenegger had to fly at the end of the movie.
I thought it was an interesting concept. I thought there was like potential there. Like, I'm like, I guess I haven't seen a movie about this specifically. And I was like, this could be something.
Yeah, it's a fun
idea.
Then
it just doesn't. And then, and he goes to the Santa Claus factory. And I'm like, this is a nice location. This is, I'm enjoying this, and it just never does that turn to bring it into a movie that could actually have substance, and then it's also dumb.
To me, I have the opposite where...
And it's also just not a good movie.
Oh, it is dumb. I have the opposite where, like, I like the Santa Claus factory. I like the stuff where he's looking for the toy. To me, the middle part is the movie. Like, him versus Sinbad running to all these different locations and getting into these different scenarios, that's fun to me. Mm-hmm. The stuff with his wife and that guy and him and his son, garbage. Really bad. In the third act is some of the most... I can't believe I didn't fucking remember it. It's so comically bad. But, in a way, that was a nice surprise, too. What do you think?
I remember it not being a good movie. I remember the acting being terrible and that it being literally something that should have gone straight to DVD. And that was why I kind of was reluctant to watching it. I was right. And I don't love the movie. I think it's one of those movies that is just funnier to quote and funnier to...
It's probably fun to sit and drink with your friends with
right,
it.
Or play like a stupid drinking game, like, something like that. But in terms of like sitting down and watching a Christmas movie, I would pass.
What did you think about the Santa Claus factory?
I didn't give a flying fuck about any of that.
Okay.
Question, were you guys like cognizant enough like when there was when there was like one big toy, not like a gaming system, I'm talking about like a toy,
like Tickle Me Elmo, stuff like that.
Tickle Me Elmo was like 99, so I don't know how you could be cognizant.
Yeah, but that's a famous one. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the phenomenon.
Right. So they used to do a thing. My mom works for American Airlines, and they used to do a thing where they would have like a Christmas party for the families, and you would get a toy and your age group would get a toy. So I remember like one year I was in like the 7 to 9, I guess, age group, and that age group actually got the Tickle Me Elmo doll, and that was like a really big fucking deal that we got the Tickle Me Elmo doll.
It's a good concept for a movie because, like you're saying, everybody's got a story like that.
Yeah.
You know, even like my mom was watching the movie with us, and she even goes like, when Amelia was little, she wanted the Barbie cash register, and we waited too long, and we just couldn't get it, and we were so distraught. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's a good concept. Fun fact about this movie, it actually was tried again. There's a
There's a
DVD.
Jingle All the Way 2,
Yes, there's a straight to DVD Jingle All the Way 2 that doesn't have Arnold and was only released in theaters, I believe, in Brazil. And you know what's really funny about it is that it's rated higher on Rotten Tomatoes than Jingle All the Way 1.
Hey, man.
Interesting.
Maybe it actually does try to have a
Plot.
Well,
plot.
I mean, law of averages, if that movie wasn't where I released and this one was, then less people saw it, therefore less reviews.
Right, but when you see the straight to DVD
Fair.
stuff, it's usually bombs out because
Yeah.
nobody likes it. Jingle All the Way has like a 15%.
Yeah, I mean, that makes
Rightfully
sense to me
so.
because it's not a very good movie.
And
Why did you
Arnold
make me watch
tucked
it?
into well, because I thought
You're
it was
my
better
favorite
than it
customer.
was.
Oh wait, no,
my
I
favorite
just quoted the
customer.
wrong movie.
No, I was thinking of The Room the whole fucking time too.
You're my favorite customer.
Jamie, I'm sorry, Mr. Reindeer. Why did you give the reindeer booze? What was that? Whose idea is that?
I bet it was Arnold's on set. I bet he just did it, and George Lucas was filming the whole time, so it made it into the movie.
I like that George Lucas is the director of the movie in your retelling.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a specific reference, but okay.
No, I didn't get it. All right, Jeremy, you're up with possibly the most. Well, I don't know what the critical reception of Jack Frost is, but possibly the most talked about movie on this list.
It
in
wasn't
current
nominated
day.
for an Oscar, Jack Frost. So,
All right, so Jeremy had
Mr. Klaus was nominated for.
Jeremy had what should be the crowd favorite here. Let's see if that's true. Jeremy, what movie were you?
I feel like you're setting me up for failure when you say that.
No.
I suggested Klaus. It is a Christmas movie, a Netflix animated Christmas movie that came out last year that I was excited for because I thought it looked really good, and I watched it and I ended up really liking it. I think it gets kind of, and I'll criticize it myself, I think it gets kind of tropey because it is a liar revealed story and you see that kind of shit everywhere. But I think it's nice. I think it looks fantastic, and it just, I enjoyed it. What did you guys think?
Well, I want to point out also that when this movie came out, we reviewed it on the podcast as well.
I reviewed it on the podcast.
Right, you
'cause
talked
I
about it on the
mentioned
podcast. I just in
And you
case
guys hadn't
somebody
watched
wanted
it.
a more in-depth version of what Jeremy thought, it actually has its own isolated review, I believe, that we uploaded. So you can watch that, and it's available. I only just saw it for the first time for this, obviously. And the first thing I want to say is I understand why it was nominated for an Oscar and why people got so excited, especially from an aesthetic standpoint. This is a great looking movie. It almost
yeah.
reminds me of Paperboy, the little Pixar short, in its style. And I really like it. I like how the movie looks, and I think the movie is really fun and really cute. However, like you're saying, it is really tropey, and I was able to predict what was going to happen the whole time. Not that
yeah.
But I also have to say, when I sit down to watch a children's animated Christmas movie, I'm not sitting there going, all right, this movie better fucking throw me through a loop and hit me with a twist at the end.
I mean, that's the thing. When we talked about the other movies, I was surprised at where they went because Jingle All the Way didn't do the really obvious
wasn't
thing
good.
and wasn't good, and Jack Frost was the only one that had an actual interesting thing happen that I wouldn't have expected. Yeah. I continue.
Anyways, but yeah, we both watched the movie, and I'll say I was engaged throughout. I really enjoyed it, and if somebody had this on and was like, "Hey, you want to watch this?" I would probably watch it. I don't know that and part of it is that it's definitely been overhyped to me, in that everybody talks about how amazing this movie is. I don't know that it makes my Christmas rotation on like movies that I would watch all the time, but I could see this being pulled out every couple of years and saying, this was cute. I like this. Okay. What did you think over there?
I would have to agree. Honestly, though, of the things that Jeremy has suggested, this has been my most favorite.
I still think I Lost My Body was the winner.
Anyway, I think that this is the best one, and I think just because I found it like really endearing. I really liked Klaus's story and how it like sort of developed from there, and that at the end, like Christmas and, you know, the kindness of one person kind of changed this entire town and how they did things for centuries. So I liked all of that stuff. Yeah, I liked the moral of it. And changed the main character's life and, you know, allowed him to not be like a douche anymore.
I bet that was the idea on the wall in the writer's room is, hey, let's make him not a douche at the end.
Yes, correct. Like Ollie said, was it my favorite movie ever? Like, would I throw it into my every year rotation? Probably not. But I did enjoy it. And it was very much in the spirit of Christmas, an interesting take on, you know, the origin of Santa Claus. Cause, you know, nobody really knows how Santa Claus actually came about. It's lore. So, you know, to have sort of this like Scandinavian country, you know, come about and like, this is how we came up with Santa and blah, blah, blah. I thought that was fun. I also thought that it was interesting that the foreign girl that like created him as Santa has a totally different animation style. I wanted to like mention that.
What do you mean?
Her face and like the way she's drawn, her features are different from the rest of it's like it's something with an H.
She's the one that doesn't speak English. She speaks like a real language. Too.
Yeah.
You can look up
I think it's Margot or something like that. Margot.
Margot,
yeah.
2 O's?
Margu. Margot.
All right, this is her right here. Hold on.
I guess it didn't stand out to me as much as I guess it did to you.
All right, here's Margot.
I don't think that really does it like correctly. I don't know if you want.
I just have the character design.
I think you should pull it because like
the one in the middle is what she looks like in the.
Well, I know, but it's like the
I know it's like more concept arty, but
the movie has like lighting. Like this will stand out because it's not lit,
right?
You know?
For sure. Hold on, let me see if I can find her in the movie.
Which is crazy. This is a 2D movie, and they figured out
out lighting. That's awesome.
To do a lighting engine, and it looks fantastic, and it makes some of the 2D things look like really. It gives a lot of depth that I'm crazy about how they did it and the way it ends up looking. You know.
I agree, 100%.
Here,
I'm sorry
I have a picture right here. Should I send it to you, Oliver, over Facebook?
I've got it here.
No, because
no, you don't.
Oh yeah, I mean you have.
This is really a pixelated photo.
Similar, but you can see the comparison. Look at the kid on the left, and look at this little girl. I mean, the faces are completely different.
She's got color in her face.
I guess it just didn't stand out.
Look at her eyes. Look at her nose. Look at her mouth. They're totally different. How can
a lot of those characters just look different?
No, because all the kids pretty much look the same.
But I mean, she's also just a different culture. She's clearly not like.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I'm trying to say that I guess I didn't specify, but that I appreciated the fact that because she's a different culture, that they took the time to change the animation in a way or change the style in which she's drawn to make her look different.
I must have missed it because I thought what you were getting at is that she looked out of place because she looked different, and I guess I just hadn't given you a chance to finish. I apologize.
Because like for all these kids, it's like their noses are in the middle of their faces, and then the eyes are anchored to the nose as like a triangle. For her eyes are on the side of her face because I'm just looking at a picture of her now, and her nose is centered in the middle with like the blush on her cheeks. It's just it's different. Anyway, that's what I was trying to say, is just that I appreciated the fact that because she was supposed to be a different culture from them, you know, a different race of people, I guess, that she looks different, and I just liked that. And that they never translated her, and they never, you know, yeah.
There are translations, and they're kind of fun. There's like a translation where he says something to her and then she responds, "You know, I can't understand you, right?" And then he just keeps talking. And there's another point he says to the teacher character. She says to the teacher character, like, "He's a fucking idiot." She doesn't curse, but he's like, "Hey, he's an idiot," and she's like, "Yeah, I know."
I also really like that there are a lot of very big named people in this movie. Like Jason Schwartzman is Jesper, J.K. Simmons, Rashida Jones, Will Sasso, Norm Macdonald, Joan Cusack, you know.
Yeah, good cast.
It's a singular. I said Norm Macdonald's.
Norm Macdonald's was in the movie. Side note, did you know that Norm Macdonald's show, do you know what it's called?
I can't hear you.
Norm Macdonald's show. Do you know what it's called?
No.
It's called Old MacDonald Had a Show.
It's pretty good.
I like that.
So Klaus.
But yeah, definitely my favorite suggestion that you've had so far, Jeremy. So I'll give you an A for your suggestion this time around.
That's good, because otherwise the movie would just be Klaus.
This one, bud. Klaus. Oh, because it wouldn't have.
Because it wouldn't have an.
I get it. I get it.
Wow.
That was clever. Good job. Final thoughts on Klaus.
Oh, final thoughts on Klaus. It's a good time. It was as nice as I remembered it being.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty nice too.
I also thought it was nice. And
right.
scene.
Recommendations, kids. What do we got? I'll throw it to Brittany first and her recommendation for a non-Christmas movie.
So my recommendation for this time around doesn't really have like a reasoning for it other than I was trying to think of something. Obviously now this is going to be my first recommendation that doesn't like have a predecessor as to why I'm recommending it, like the entire Twilight series or a Christmas movie. So the reason I wanted to recommend this movie is because I grew up watching it. I probably shouldn't have because it is very adult, but it's a very good movie. And considering this crowd, I think you guys will really appreciate it. So the movie that I want us all to watch is called What's Love Got to Do with It? And it's the Tina Turner biopic. And it's actually really, really good. And Angela Bassett does an amazing job as Tina Turner. And is it Lawrence Fishburne plays Ike Turner, and it's a really crazy movie. Like to me, it's almost like on the same level of being Selena, you know, like one of those kind of movies where it's like you didn't realize like these things were going on in this iconic person's life as they were creating the music that you're like so familiar with. Tina Turner's life was actually very, very sad, and I don't want to spoil too much of it, but you know, it's been referenced in a lot of pop culture before that like Ike beat Tina and stuff like that.
I was literally going to say the only thing I know about Tina Turner's life is very sad, and that's that Ike beat Tina.
Right. So this movie shows you that. And but I like it and I like it for this group specifically because I feel like from a film standpoint, Oliver really enjoys like a good biopic and something that can tell a story and kind of like a rise fall sort of thing, even though there's no real fall for her, but you get what I'm saying. And then for Jeremy, because it's music based, you know, and it's a biopic of somebody who's very prominent in the music industry, I think that you'll like that as well. And it kind of shows her start and, you know, how she got to where she got. So my suggestion is What's Love Got to Do with It?
All right, Jeremy.
No thanks. You first.
All right.
Thanks, guys. I'm not going to recommend anything this time.
I'm not going to be on the next episode, guys. I changed my mind in the middle of this episode because I didn't remember Jingle All the Way all that well. So I'm going to pick a movie that I also don't remember all that well, but I remember really liking I've seen the movie twice.
Which one is it?
Well, hold on, Jeremy. That's not how I talk. You know that.
I know.
The movie is Leaving Las Vegas.
Okay.
I love Leaving Las Vegas for the experience that I had watching it the first time. I found it actually really surprisingly moving for a Nicolas Cage movie. But I haven't watched it since then, so I would like to know if I still feel that way. So we'll all watch it together.
Cool.
I've never. Is that the one with
he's
Nick
trying to kill him? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to spoil too
much.
No,
well, you're the one that was spoiling it. I just said Nick Cage.
You just said the words.
Yeah.
You find out in the first 2 minutes. It's fine. Jeremy, what do you got?
So I am having a lot of trouble coming up with movies that I know that I've seen that Oliver and Brittany haven't seen that I don't want to frame as putting them through because I know they wouldn't be interested at all in watching. So I'm going to recommend an album this time of music. I'm going to do music again.
Wow, a music album.
Wow, music.
I'm going to recommend, this was on my top albums of all time. which is fun because
Is
I'm
it the one with
so-
the crazy name?
I don't know. What was
They
the one
all
with the
had
crazy
crazy
name?
names.
Oh, okay.
What was the one with the crazy name?
I don't know. It was long. Something super.
Psychedelic porn crumpets?
Yes, that one.
No, I'm not going to suggest that. That's fun because I'm just excited for you guys.
I'd start over real quick. I just burped.
That's fine. I could have cut it out. This was I'm going to recommend an album that was on my top 10 albums of all time, which is fun because I can't wait for you guys to listen to it and go, this is weird and I don't like it. And why would you have rated it so highly of all time? So I'm going to recommend to you guys an album called Hawaii Part 2 by Miracle Musical.
Oh, this is the one I liked the cover art on this one.
I would listen to it in order. It's at least one a time.
One a time.
It does that thing where the songs kind of flow, not to the same degree as something like Dark Side of the Moon, but it does have a flow to it. So it's a whole album. I don't expect you to have the time to get through the whole thing. If you can, obviously, but whatever. Yeah.
I mean, if you could watch a whole movie, you should be able to listen to a whole album.
Yeah, albums easy.
True. I
drive a lot.
I would also. This is up to your own conjecture, but you could, since they're like songs, you could give anything more than one listen as well, if you end up liking it. But
would that be extra credit?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, let's not get crazy here, dude.
As like a disclaimer, I'm gonna give it's fucking weird. It's a weird thing.
All right, that's fine.
But I'm really into it, and I've listened to it a lot of times, and I'm interested to know more opinions about it because I think it's really interesting.
I'm interested to know more interesting opinions.
I'm interested too. Did this feel Christmassy to you guys? To me,
felt pretty regular.
Right, pretty regular, but about Christmas. That's all you get. That's the goddamn it, hello Christmas spectacular.
I'm really happy that none of us suggested movies where Santa Claus is secretly real but nobody knows, because I would have spent so much of this podcast talking about how that's weird fucking trope.
Isn't that Miracle on 34th Street?
Miracle on 34th Street.
So many movies.
It's a
the
Wonderful
Santa
Life.
Claus, it fits right. No, he's not in It's a Wonderful Life.
No? I thought he was.
There are angels in It's a Wonderful Life.
What's the other one?
The Santa Claus is a big one.
I would have talked about it so much.
Yeah.
The closest you get is my pick, Klaus, but it's not really the same thing.
No.
Well, this has been fun, everyone.
We'll talk about that next year.
Yeah, we'll get to that next year. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Get Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Chrysler. No.
Should we say good riddance to you too, or should we
Merry
let it go?
Christmas and good riddance, you filthy animals.
Good one.
And now we stop recording.